Lashdele, Lashdele. Thank you, Pepe, for those wonderful opening remarks. Um, I'm very happy to join with you all in celebrating the 21st anniversary of GSDPL's founding. So, in something of a informal setting, informal setting, we thought of something like talking about the Dharma, something like reflections. Yes, we are a center of learning and then contemplating and practicing the Dharma. This is to begin with hearing the teachings, to learning the teachings of the Buddha, learning the Dharma. This is a very important part of our path, of our spiritual journey. Gen Rinpoche, Gebjiladi Rinpoche, Gen Rinpoche used to very much emphasize, learning, studying, right? To learn and study and not only learn, but also to contemplate, to contemplate. So this, I think, is so important. Whenever there was this request made to Gen Rinpoche for some teachings or for some empowerments, Gen Rinpoche would always, that was not on the priority list. Gen Rinpoche would first would say, first we have to do piti. Piti is like something like commentary for our text, for our curriculum, right? So Gen Rinpoche really put that high on the priority list to go with piti and to really learn. This Gen Rinpoche, I feel, emphasized over receiving initiations and other this kind of formal teachings. Gen Rinpoche really emphasized the learning part, the learning part of the Dharma, of Buddhist, of our Buddhist, Chilam Desum, the foundation or the base, and then the path and the result. So these three parts, Gen Rinpoche really emphasized learning and contemplating on that, so studying the Dharma, it's so important. And, His Holiness frequently cites from Jetsonglaba's, from the Jetsonglaba Guru devotion or Guru Yoga, Banden Bhagyama, of overcoming the 8 worldly dharmas and Pyoge Bangbe Tenjur Dungyu Chis. So to overcoming the 8 worldly dharmas and then making meaningful this human existence, and then hearing the Dharma, learning the vast Dharma, and then putting that into practice. So this passage from this Rinpoche Guru Yoga is a very important teaching for us, for all of us. So to learn and to always have this in our minds. That I just would like to remind all of us of this, of the importance of doing that. And then the motivation, again, that's so important, right? Why are we here? Why are we listening to the Dharma? Why are we contemplating the Dharma? Why are we trying to practice the Dharma, right? The motivation uh, is so important. So again, uh, whenever we engage in our study, in our studies, in the teachings. So teachings, I don't mean to say in a formal setting, but when you have the time, when you're reading a Dharma book, for example. So before doing that, then setting the motivation, right? And and the motivation is very simple. It is compassion. Compassion is the motivation for our Dharma practice. It is the wish for not just ourselves as individuals, but also those uh, along with us, and then all others who too wish to be happy uh, and wish to be free from suffering, to to have this wish, right? To have this compassion for all others. This is our motivation, right? So then, um, coming from a place of compassion, then engaging in in the Dharma like this, and then uh, as we go on uh, in our daily lives, then bringing in the practice of mindfulness of our speech and of our mind, of our thoughts. I think this is again a very useful method of actualizing compassion, of actualizing the purpose of our compassion, right? Many times we have the motivation and the goal is more or less quite clear, but then it is on the way where I feel that I struggle, right? So mindfulness here uh, is so useful in in making in clearing up the obstacles, in clearing up the obstacles that occur in my mind and in my interaction with others, in how I relate with others, right? This the blockage. So mindfulness of speech and thoughts, that is, uh, I think, one practice that would be very useful in actualizing uh, compassion. And then something like uh, rejoicing uh, the works of others, rejoicing in their kindness, you know. For example, our gathering here today, so many factors, so many factors, right? So many causes and conditions had to be, uh, they all needed to come together. It was without all those causes and conditions coming together, uh, there is no way that we can uh, be in this moment, right? So again, to rejoice really in in how so many of you, in how so many of us were involved, uh, re- reflecting like this, I think is uh, is very useful. Is very useful in developing joy, right? In developing joy, and not only rejoicing in the kindness, and not only uh, rejoicing others, but also rejoicing oneself. I think it's sometimes uh, we may have to think about, in order to uh, to have to maintain a balance between self and others, right? Between oneself and others. So this is one point. Uh, and then we are in our tradition, uh, then clearly, we were sort of brought up, with this, with the Dharma. We were many of us, we were sort of raised in Dharma, and then especially in something like Bodhisattva practice, Bodhicitta. So again, in a way, this is something like uh, our habituation or something like our culture, right? And then also we say whenever we do refuge and bodhicitta practice, that verse Sangye Chozoma, uh, that it that the thing with cultural things is that then they may become simply like something like a formality, not really coming from one's own heart, but we are so used to it, and it's almost like we automatically say these verses, right, without really uh, reflecting on the meaning, right? So as the saying goes, not just from, something like not from the mouth, but from the heart, right? So bodhicitta, to reflect uh, and to contemplate uh, on bodhicitta. This is again something that I would like to remind us. This is a very important part of our practice. Without bodhicitta, then uh, really there is no um, what we call like uh, tantric practice, right? There is no uh, possibility of tantric realizations and uh, feats and so forth. So uh, to always and I know that for you all, this is a very important practice. So again, uh, I really appreciate your bodhicitta practice, you know, and uh, this is really uh, for me. It always makes me puts me in a it, it immediately takes me into a joyful place whenever I see your bodhicitta in action. So thank you, thank you, and yeah, like this, right? Like this, and Today is Friday, so I think you had a very busy day, and so I won't take too much of your time. Uh, but this is uh, just something like a few things that I wanted to share with you, and uh, all these things that I have uh, mentioned. Uh, this is in no way to. It is not something like how to put it. Uh, what is the word? It is not like it is not like telling you to say you have to do this, you have to do that. It is not like that because you are already doing all of the things that that was shared, right? That we talked about. Uh, but this is something just to I would like to say to acknowledge. I would like it is something from my side that I see you doing the things that were mentioned, right? That were mentioned, right? Mindfulness, hearing the teachings, rejoicing, and bodhicitta in thought and action. So these uh, things, these practices, you are already uh, engaging in these practices. So this is really, uh, it really makes me happy to see that. And and I and just you know uh, sometimes I feel that we don't have to uh, add so much. There's nothing really much to add to what you're already doing, right? The most important thing is that to simply continue doing what you started, you know, and to see that through, to see that uh, to see that through. That's all. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. It is not like there's anything uh, we can put more like in the basket. The basket is already, I think, built, right? Uh, so now simply to continue, to simply continue your practice and I think uh, remembering kindness of the guru, remembering kindness of you know mother sentient beings. I think uh, this really I think can give hope, right? Whenever uh, I uh, find myself in a difficult situation, then thinking about the kindness of the guru, uh, about the kindness of others. This is very helpful. This is very helpful, right? So to always, I think, to always recognizing that, and and that's I think uh, it really uh, contains the Dharma. Reflecting on the kindness of others. This, I think, is a way of really bringing all of our all of our Dharma practice to a single point. In bringing all of our practices together to a single point, right? Which is uh, recognizing the kindness of others, whereby then unconditional compassion is possible, right? Through which bodhicitta is then becomes a reality in our mind. It becomes a living. It becomes a living. It comes into life in our minds only through compassion, and for that to happen, to recognize how mother sentient beings, have been so kind to us in unfathomable ways, So simply rejoicing in that kindness, I think that is one way, that is one way of bringing and of bringing all of our Dharma practice. So like this. Yeah, I don't think I have much to add now. And yes, thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your dedication. And in spite of the difficult circumstances, and yes, whenever one engages in Dharma practice, there will be, of course, obstacles, right? Yet, somehow you are still here and you have not given up. You are all ever so dedicated. So for that, really, thank you. Uh, and and yeah, so the Dharma, to always to keep Dharma at the heart, to always having, Dharma at your heart, uh, for always uh, keeping Dharma at your heart. So thank you all so very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rinpoche.